No, you're not seeing things, but this is as close as most of us ever get to a real RS200. And today on Kits and Cruising, I shall nobly force myself to drive this machine and tell you what it's like. I hope you appreciate the sacrifices I make for you. But first of all, a potted history of Ford's almost rally star.
The RS200 was Ford's belated entry into the Group B arena, earning its name from the 200 cars Ford needed to build to comply with the rules. By the time Ford's baby was getting close to competitive, however, Audi, Peugeot and Lancia had already been slugging it out for a couple of years, and a couple of fatal accidents spelled the end for Group B rally cars.
The story didn't end there though. The manufacturer was left with 200 cars, or thereabouts, after rallying had destroyed a few. And Ford's answer to that little problem was to stick in a bit of carpet and make a road-going supercar. Hurrah!
Installing carpets and luxury seats as a gesture towards comfort, the road cars were still pretty raw. Performance saw sub-6 second 0 to 60 times, and most were geared for 150 miles per hour, all with full-time four-wheel drive.
Even today, little touches them, and this excellent replica from RS Automotive will fool many people into thinking that you're one of the lucky very few owners. There are differences here though. It's longer, it's wider and it's lower as well, and that's all aimed at making more interior room available. And look at this. This door started life as a moulding taken from a three-door Sierra modified to fit. And before you tut at such a blatant shortcut, let's remember, shall we, that that's exactly what Ford did with the original. Open that door, take a look inside, and we're confronted with the dashboard from a Sierra. Well, yes, but then so are real RS200 owners. You can start to see what I'm getting at, can't you? Of course, you're now going to turn around and say, but surely you can't fit the original running gear, can you? Well, no, that would be slightly costly. But if you're going to use the dashboard from a Sierra, you might as well use some of the other bits. So underneath me, we have the steering and suspension from the old Stager. Oh, and behind me, we have a Cosworth unit tuned to 360 brake horsepower mated to a Renault transaxle. So it should go some then. There's something quite comforting about sitting behind a familiar dashboard taken from an old Sierra, and at first you feel quite relaxed and calm and in control, and dawdling around at low revs, it's a very easy car to drive. But as soon as the turbo comes on at certain revs, things become a little bit trickier. And all of a sudden you become aware this is no shopping car. It's a very serious piece of kit, and a very well sorted piece of kit. It feels solid, the suspension feels just right, the ride is purposeful. This is a car you really could learn to drive quite hard. Now, we haven't been able to drive an original authentic RS200 next to this to make comparisons, but we on Kits and Cruising are prepared to stick our necks out and say that this is probably a lot more refined than the rally-bred original. That's not to say it isn't fast though. It is, incredibly. But for normal everyday use, it's probably a far more practical proposition. So that's a pretty wild thing then.